everyone, welcome to the session. Today we'll be discussing about the CC exam questions. So let's start with the first question, and it says the predetermined set of instructions or procedures to sustain business operations after a disaster is commonly known as, and we have four options here. The first one is business impact analysis, second one is disaster recovery plan, third one is business impact plan, and the fourth one is business continuity plan. So if I'll discuss these these plans. So the first one, it says business impact plan. So what is this? This is a process that identify, evaluate the potential effect of disruptions to a critical business operations. Okay, and that could happen without because of anything, like because of disaster, accident, or emergency. So here the purpose of this business impact analysis is to prioritize which process are most critical, and then to restore and quantify the potential losses from that particular process. Okay, so it's talk about financial, operational, reputational losses, and then it is associated with the disturbance which can happen because of it. Okay, so that is business impact analysis. It just analyze the impact of that particular business. Then we have disaster recovery plan. So disaster recovery plan is what? It is a documented structure approach with detailed instructions which are there for responding to unplanned incident, and that unplanned incident could be anything. It could be a natural disaster, cyber attacks, or any other event that can stop your day-to-day operations. Here the disaster recovery plan, that it focus on restoring IT infrastructure, applications, and data, and it ensure that the continuity of operations should happen after the disaster. Then we have business impact analysis. So business impact analysis, this is it generally refer to the plan that have a detailed steps to minimize the impact of disturbance on our business, okay, on critical business operations. And the purpose of this business impact plan is it handle how to handle, like it address how to handle specific risk or disturbance, and then mitigate their effect on a business goals. Then we have business continuity plan. Business continuity plan is what? It is a total plan that ensure that critical business operation can continue during and after a disaster. Okay, so it focus on all the aspects. Okay, it focus on maintaining operations, like everything, person, communication, IT system, facility, everything. It encompass everything, and it focus on maintaining the business. It's focus on that even after the disaster, even a disaster happen, the operation should continue. The critical business operation should continue during and after the disasters. Okay, so this is business continuity plan. And when we talk about this question which says predefined set of instructions or procedures, okay, so instructions and procedures are there. So this is disaster recovery plan, option B. Why? Because here it is what? It is a documented structure approach which have a detailed instructions for responding to any unplanned incident. So here the correct answer is B, disaster recovery plan. Now let's move to the next question. So next question says, which of the following is not a best practice for maintaining an effective business continuity plan? Okay, so among these options, if you see the first one, it's saying regularly updating the business continuity plan. Okay, it's about it reflect changes to the organization environment or threat. So you have to regularly update your business continuity plan. Okay, so this is correct. This is what a practice we have to practice, or we have to follow. Then we have conducting periodic business continuity plan test and exercises, right? So here it's talking about the plan, whether the plan are functioning properly and effectively. So this is also a effective business continuity plan. So option B is also correct. Then we have option C, which says ignoring feedback from business continuity test. Okay, so this doesn't seem good because we cannot ignore the feedback, right? After monitoring or updating and conducting periodic test, if we find any feedback, we cannot ignore it. Okay, so far this is not best practice for maintaining an effective business continuity plan. Then we see D, It's talk about involving key stakeholders in the business continuity process. So here, this is a process that ensure that you know stakeholders are uh, have the alignment with the business needs and priorities. So this is also correct. So when we talk about which is not the best practice, so the correct answer is C, which says ignoring feedback from business continuity tests. So the correct answer is option C. Now let's move to the next question. So next question says, after an earthquake disturbing business operations, which document contain the procedure that required to return to normal operations? Okay, among these, which document contain the procedure to return business to normal operations? So after a disaster, earthquake happened, and after that, in which document it contains? So this is the disaster recovery plan, option D, which contain the whole procedures, and they are talking about which document contain the procedures that require to return. So they are talking about the procedures, right? Detail. They are not talking about steps and all. They are talking about the procedure. So if you see if you read the question, you think that the answer should be disaster recovery plan, but the correct answer should be business continuity plan, because it contains the procedure plans that require for rapid recovery of critical business operations after a disaster, right? Like earthquake. So the correct answer we have is option C, that is business continuity plan. Okay. Now let's move to next question. So next question says, which of the following phases of an incident recovery plan are incident response prioritized? So here we have incident response plans. Okay. And we have total 6 plan we have. Okay, so now let's first discuss about these plans, and then we will be saying which is the correct answer. So the first one we have, first plan for incident response plan, like incident response recovery plan, we have preparation. This is the first one. Okay, second one we have detection and analysis. Third one we have containment. Fourth one we have eradication. Fifth one we have recovery, and sixth one we have is post incident recovery, or you can say lesson learned. Okay, both are same thing. So first one is preparation. So preparation phase is what? This is a phase where you establish the incident response plan and you ensure that you have a team and it is ready to handle the incident. So here you develop the policies, procedures, right? You train the incident response team, you set up tools, technologies, right? You conduct regular drill and everything. So that is preparation phase. That is first one. Second one is identification, or you can say detection and analysis phase. So here what happened? Here detection happened, like some incident happened. If any occurrence happen of incident, here in this phase, detection and analysis, that thing will be captured. So here what happened? Here network monitoring happens, systems monitoring, logs monitoring for any suspicious activity, right? Here you have to analyze the alert event to determine if an incident has occurred, right? You classify the incident based on the severity, impact and scope, and all these things happen here, right? Then we have containment. Once you know that the damage happened, right, any incident happened, you have to contain it. So here you will limit the damage. Okay, you limit the cause by the incident and prevent any further spread. Same like when COVID-19 happened, we have to contain it, right? Because if we won't contain it, it will spread. So same way we have to do the containment. So here you have to isolate the affected system from the network. You have to implement temporary fixes. You can you have to protect unaffected systems and data. So that is containment phase. Then we have phase 4, step 4, that is eradication. So in the fourth one, what you have to do, you have to eliminate the root cause of the incident and you have to remove the threat from the environment. Okay, so here you have to identify the source of the attack. It could be malware or any unauthorized access. You have to remove the malicious file, accounts, or any unauthorized changes, and you have to update, like you have to patch the vulnerability, update systems, right? And you have to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure that all traces and threats are eliminated from the system. So that is eradication. Then we have the fifth step, that is recovery. So what happened here, you are in this step you will restore affected systems and services to normal operations. Okay, so you will rebuild or restore the system from backups. You will verify that the system are secure and operational, and also in this step you will monitor. Okay, you will monitor for any sign of reoccurring issues. Maybe after some time the system may show some different activity, so you have to see that also in this step, right? And then after checking everything, you will reintroduce the effective system to the production environment, right? And then we have the last step, that is post incident activity, or you can say it is also like lesson learned, right? Here you will learn, like you will know what lessons you have learned from the incident and how you can make improvement you can make for the future response, right? So you will conduct post-mortem review, right? You will document what happened, and also you will identify the gaps in the response process you have, and then you will recommend the improvement you can have to your your present incident response plan, and you will update the incident plans, policies and tools. So all these things will happen here. So this is the incident response plan we have. Now the question says, in which of the following phases of an incident recovery plan are incident response prioritized? Okay, so among these you have to check. So you have post incident activity, detection and analysis, preparation, containment, eradication and recovery. So it's saying, in which of the following phase of an incident response plan are incident responses prioritized? So incident response, where incident response are prioritized. So among these options we are talking about incident response prioritized. So here detection and analysis is the correct answer, because in detection analysis phase of an incident recovery plan, here we prioritize the incident. Okay, we check, we do the incident detection, we do the incident analysis, and then we also do the prioritization. Okay, like we'll decide which incident need immediate action, right, based on the you can say criticality of it, or based on business impact of it and threat level. So the correct answer here we have is threat detection and analysis, right? So now let's move to the next question. So next question says, which site required the longest recovery time for business? So when we are talking about the sites, so we have these mobile site, hot site, warm site, cold site. So let's focus on these sites. And when we talk about this hot site is what? These hot sites are there, like after the disaster we have these sites which we have to take over, right? It's like they are like alternative sites where you can continue a business. Okay, so hot site is there. Hot site means it is fully operational. Okay, fully operational is there, everything is equipped, backups is there, every hardware, software, network connectivity, everything is there. So as soon as the disaster happen, you can quickly move to this site and you can continue your business. Okay, it has a faster recovery, hot site. And obviously because everything is, it's like a replica of your current site, so it has a high cost, because you have to maintain it, you have everything in it, it is fully functional. So this is the hot site, and it has a high cost, right? Then we have warm site. So warm site is what? Warm site is also like a backup facility, right? It has pre-installed equipment, like it has servers, networking infrastructure, but it need additional things for fully operation. Okay, so additional things, maybe the data backup is not there, right? So that is warm site, means it is not fully you can say present there. You have still need few things for it to become operational, right? So it offer balance between the cost and recovery time, because it's less expensive than the hot site, and also it has but if you talk about the disadvantage of it, so the recovery time is longer here compared to the hot site, because we have to do additional configurations there, we have to do the data restoration here, so it need more time. Okay, that is warm. Then we have cold site. So as the name suggests, this cold site is what? This has like, this is a very basic backup facility, right? It has a power, it has cooling and a space, but it don't have any pre-installed equipment, right? So this one is least expensive compared to the other two, right? And it takes the longest recovery time, since all the equipment, software, data, all everything need to be set up in it, and it is least expensive, which I already discussed, right? So these are the three sites we have. Now if you talk about this mobile site is what? This is fully functional backup facility that house in a mobile unit, okay, like truck or van, okay, or which can be quickly deployed to any location. That is mobile site we have, okay. It provide a temporary workspace with necessary equipment and connectivity to continue the business operation during a disaster, okay. And if we talk about the advantage of this mobile site, it is highly flexible and can be set up near the disaster affected area. So that is mobile site. And now let's come back to the question, and the question is saying which site required the longest recovery time for business. Okay, so among these options, cold site is the one which required longest recovery time for business. So the correct answer is option D, that is cold site. Now let's move to next question. So we have another question which says it's also related with the site only, and it's saying which type of disaster recovery site is fully equipped and ready to use immediately, right? So fully equipped and it is ready to use immediately. So here the correct answer is hot site, because it is fully equipped and you can use it immediately, okay. So the correct answer is option C, that is hot site. Now we have another question which says our organization is conducting a disaster recovery test. Which type of test involved simulating a real life scenario, right? So we have these disaster recovery test, okay. We have tabletop exercise, we have walkthrough drill, we have full scale exercise, we have checklist review. So if we talk about this tabletop exercise, this is what? This is a discussion based test, okay, where the team member come together to walk through a disaster scenario and they just discuss their role and responses based on the disaster recovery plan. So that is tabletop exercise. It's like a like let's say a group discussion is happening, like how they would respond to a data breach, okay. So that is tabletop exercise. Then we have walkthrough drill. So walkthrough drill is what? This is a step above a tabletop exercise where team members physically walk through the disaster recovery procedure. So let's say here they are testing the backup system by simulating a server failure without affecting live operation, okay. So that is walkthrough drill. Then we have full scale exercise. Full scale exercise means this is a real life simulation of a disaster scenario, and it involves activating the disaster recovery plan fully, right? And it includes systems, infrastructure, personnel. So let's say here what happened, the team will shut down a primary data center, and then they shift the operation to a backup data center, like actually some disaster happened. So they'll check whether the primary site, the secondary site is working properly or not. So that is full scale exercise. Then we have checklist review. So checklist review is what? This is like a review of the disaster recovery plan. Okay, it reviews the disaster recovery plan components to ensure all necessary resources, documentation, procedures are up to date. Okay, so they check, like let's say they are checking all the employees, their contact information is current, and all system have recent backup and all. So these are the disaster recovery test we have. So among this, the question is saying which type of the test involves simulating a real life disaster scenario. So real life is what? Full scale exercise, because what they do, they just fully stop the primary site and they depend totally on the secondary site to check whether at the time of disaster this thing will work or not. So the correct answer is C, full scale exercise. Now let's move to the next question, and next question says which is the first step in the incident response process. Okay, so among this you have to identify the first step. Okay, so here we have detection and identification, containment, eradication, recovery. They are talking about the first step in incident response process. So the first step is preparation, right? And then we have detection and identification. So option A is the correct answer in this. Now let's move to the another question, and it says, what is the primary objective of a disaster recovery plan? So primary objective they are talking about. So here we have to ensure the safety of employees, to restore IT system and data, to increase market share, to improve customer satisfaction. So among these options, to restore IT system and data is the correct answer. Now let's move to the next question, and here we have next question which talk about MTD and RTO. So they are saying, which of the following statement define the relationship between MTD and RTO? Okay, so let's discuss about MTD, RTO and RPO. Okay, so this MTD is what? This is maximum tolerable downtime. Okay, and this RTO is maximum time recovery time objective. Okay, so I'll explain you like this. Let's say there is a organization is there. Okay, and they have set their RTO 2 hours. RTO means it is what? It is the maximum acceptable amount of time that is required to restore a system and application after a disaster. Some disaster happen, and maximum time, like for 2 hours my system can be shut. Okay, my system can shut down for 2 hours. That is recovery time objective. Within 2 hours my system should start working. Okay, this is maximum acceptable time. Then we have this MTD. MTD means it is the total amount of time that the business process or system can be unavailable without causing significant harm to the organization. Like let's say this is RTO. Okay, and here we have total. This total is MTD. So total 2 hours also extra added. So let's say I have an e-commerce website. Okay, for 2 hours, if some DOS attack happened to my organization, for 2 hours my website can remain shut. Okay, this is the you can say recovery time objective I have, that 2 hours it can remain shut. But let's say because of some technical problem, it take more than 2 hours. Okay, so total more than 2 hours it happened, and total let's say 4 hours. For 4 hours my website is down. Okay, so till 2 hours it was fine, but if it will exceed more than 4 hours, now the real damage will start for my website. Okay, so this MTD is what? This is the total amount of time in which my system can be unavailable, okay, without any significant loss. But if the time extend this MTD, the real loss will start. Okay, so that is MTD. Means RTO is again I repeat, RTO is recovery time objective, maximum acceptable amount of time. MTD means after, when you exceed that particular time also, then the real damage will start. Okay, that is MTD. So now if we see the options here, and it says, which of the following statement define the relationship between MTD and RTO? So RTO must normally be shorter than MTD. RTO must normally be higher than MTD. RTO is more than RPO. RTO can exceed time limit established by the MTD. Okay, so here the correct answer we have RTO must normally be shorter than MTD. Okay, so RTO is 2 hours, and let's say more hours are added too. So total 4 hours, more than 4 hours is MTD. So RTO should always be shorter than MTD. Okay, this is the relationship we have with MTD and RTO. And when we talk about this RPO is what? This is a how much data you lost, okay, in that downtime. So this is a maximum. It says about the maximum acceptable amount of data loss which happened in that time. Okay, like after it talk about the data loss, RPO. Okay, recovery point objective. So maximum acceptable amount of data loss which is measured in time, that is RPO. RTO talk about the time, MTD talk about the time, this RPO, it's talk about the data. Okay, data loss. So now let's talk about the next question. And it says, Kevin is designing a new web server environment for his organization. He believes that the service will need 3 servers to support normal traffic levels and decides to use 3 servers to meet that need. As requests come in, they will be sent to the server that has the most available capacity. Which term best describes what Kevin is doing? So here we have options, and it says fault tolerance, high availability, dual power supplies, and load balancing. So when we talk about this fault tolerance means the system, it's talk about the system availability, that the system availability to continue operating properly even one or more component fail. That is fault tolerance, right? High availability means it ensures that the system is operational and accessible for the maximum possible time, and it has a minimum downtime. Okay, that is high availability. The system should be optional, it should work operational. Okay, that is high availability. Dual power supplies talk about the hardware features where device is there, like server is there, it has 2 power supplies. It also talk about high availability only, that it ensure the continuous power in case one one supply is fail, other one is there. Okay, then we have load balancing. Load balancing is what? Load balancing is a process where you distribute the traffic, okay, across multiple servers so that no single server will overwhelm. Okay, so we have this load balancer, traffic is coming and it will divide the traffic among multiple servers. Okay, so this is what load balancing is. So here what the question is saying, they are talking about the 3 servers to support normal traffic level, decide to use 3 servers to meet that need. So as the request come in, they will be sending the server to the most available capacity. So here what they are talking about, here they are talking about option D, that is load balancing. Okay, now let's move to next question. And this question says, Genie recently conducted an assessment and determined that his organization can be without its main transaction database for a maximum of 2 hours before unacceptable damage occur to the business. Therefore, the goal of his organization is to restore service within 2 hours. Which metrics has Gene identified? So here they are talking about the maximum of 2 hours, right, before the unacceptable damage happens. So here what they are talking about, they are talking about this RTO, recovery time objective, because after this RTO will exceed, the maximum damage will start, the unacceptable damage will start. Okay, so the correct answer is RTO here. When we talk about this RSL, this is what? This is recovery service level. So here it's talking about even after a disaster, something like almost 50% of components should be functional within 8 hours. Okay, let's talk about that. So let's say a disaster happened, okay, and your complete website is shut down, but according to this RSL, that after 2 hours at least 80% of the company's service should be functional. Okay, so it's like it's talk about desired level of functionality that must be restored after a disaster. So let's say email service is working. Okay, so that is RSL, recovery service level. Okay, it comes under it. So this is what we have for this question. Now let's move to the next question. So next question says, during his monitoring work, Jason identified a high priority security incident in progress. What should be his first priority in that? Okay, so during his monitoring, he identified high priority security incident. Okay, so what he should do first? So here the option is identify lesson learned. No, this is the last thing we have to do. Notify senior management. Okay, that he can do that. Recovery normal operations, that could also be done. Then we have containing the damage. Okay, so among these options, what should be his high priority? Okay, in security when security incident is in progress. So high priority we are talking about. So the correct answer should be D. He should contain the damage, because if he won't contain the damage, it will keep on spreading. It will spread. Okay, so here this high priority is the keyword which I have added. So according to that, he should contain the damage first. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. So next question says, which is the most important parameter to consider while categorizing and prioritizing an incident? Okay, so any incident is there. What is the most important parameter? What is the most important parameter you should be considering? So we have this option which says impact and criticality. B says confidentiality and integrity, sensitivity and availability, and authenticity and visibility. So among this, okay, and when we talk about the incident, we have to prioritize the most important parameter is impact and criticality. Okay, so when we categorize and prioritize the incident, this is the most important parameter we have. We talk about the impact it will have on the organization, and also the criticality of the systems or data involved in it will happen. Okay, so this is what we have to consider. So impact and criticality is the thing which we have to consider at the time of incident, like if any incident happen. Okay, so yeah, so that's it for this part. Thank you.